Hello, guys. I am Julia. This is my story. I am sorry if I have to leave out some details here. I cannot write a novel for you because I have to keep it brief, but I will try to make this as detailed as possible. To start off, let me tell you that I never had a good relationship with my mother, Laura, and my younger sister, Elise. My father died shortly after Elise was born, so he wasn't responsible for anything. He was a great father, and I miss him dearly. After my father had died, I felt like I had lost two parents. My mother always preferred Elise over me. This escalated to the point where I was being both abused and neglected at home. My mother had isolated us from the family, so I couldn't really tell anyone anything. Whatever little family we had left didn't want to stay in touch because of how toxic and misbehaved Elise was. For years, I had been bullied by Elise. Yes, I am 3 years older than her, but still, she is the one who bullied me. She even hit me when she got mad at something, and my mother would always excuse her behavior. I always got hand-me-downs while the best of things were given to Elise. As you can tell, my little sister was spoiled beyond belief. I won't go into any more detail here, but my life was hell as long as I was with my mother and Elise. So I studied hard, got a small job, and stayed as far away from those two as possible. I met my husband Cole while working and married him just after he graduated from college. At that time, I was feeling a little emotional, so I invited my mother and sister to the wedding. None of them showed up, and my sister straight up told me that she doesn't want to see two losers getting married. Back then, my husband was just starting out, so Elise and my mother always called him a loser. This is relevant for later. My husband knew how badly my mother and sister had treated me and also knew how they didn't like him. So he had always been supportive of me maintaining no contact after our marriage. Things started to change when my mother met with an accident and became disabled. I heard about it, but didn't want to reach out because of my past experiences. However, when my mother called me crying for help, I couldn't turn away from her. She had lost her job and was struggling to make ends meet, so she wanted me to help her out. You guys will probably shake your head at me, but yes, I did help her. My sister was staying with her and without a job as usual, so I was basically paying for both my mother's and sister's upkeep. But my mother suddenly started to act next to me and even apologized for treating me unfairly in the past. Elise was snarky and a bully as usual, but I got better at ignoring her. What really threw me off was that she started to flirt with my husband a lot. Cole and I celebrated Christmas with my mother and sister one year after my mother begged me to come. I was having a good time with my mother, who was super attentive to me, but I could tell that Elise was flirting with Cole and being a little touchy with him. Cole had recently gotten a big promotion, so he was making much more than before. Elise seemed surprised about it, and that's when she started to flirt with him. I didn't want to make a scene there, so I didn't mention it. When I got home and expressed my annoyance at Elise personally, I got this unexpected response from him. I don't know what you were talking about, Julia. Your sister was just trying to be friendly. You were blowing things out of proportion. Wait, what? Cole, are you really that blind? She was flirting with you. She even touched you. Way too much. This is not normal. Oh, please, Julia, you need to stop villainizing your sister so much. Your family is absolutely lovely. Maybe you overreacted to what happened in the past. What is wrong with you, Cole? I have been abused by them, for God's sake. How can you say I overreacted? You know what they did. You also know how Elise had slept with 2 of my boyfriends. That's all in the past. People make mistakes. They have changed. Look at how nice your mother has become. Maybe you need to stop being so delusional and start treating your family better. They don't deserve your poor treatment. I know that some of you would have got up and left this sorry excuse of a man, but we had been married for 2 years at that point. I had known Cole for years, and he had always been supportive of me. He gaslit me so much that I started to think that I was being delusional and unfair. I mean, it was true that my mother had been making amends, and I saw some big changes in her. I thought that maybe I was reading too much into things and my hate for Elise was clouding my judgment. So I let go of my doubts. Cole and I started to grow our connection to my family. My husband really encouraged me to reach out to them regularly and berated me when I talked about the past. Yes, I have no self-esteem. I believed him when he said that I needed to be better to them. So that's what I did. I tried to be the best daughter, sister, and wife. Well, it came back to bite me. My life came crumbling when I went to visit my mother one day. My husband had been on a work trip that happened pretty frequently at his job. I was alone at home, so I decided to drop by and visit my mother. My mother was happy to see me, and we had a nice chat. I had no idea that within a few minutes, my life would change completely. When I walked into my mom's kitchen for a glass of water, I noticed a strange postcard on her refrigerator. It was sent from a popular tourist destination that I had been dying to visit. The postcard came from my sister, but it was the signature next to her that shocked me. It was Cole's signature. I stood in front of the refrigerator for a good 5 minutes before I came back to my senses. I immediately knew something was wrong, so I snatched it and went to my mother. I said, "I needed to talk to you about something, Mom." "Oh, what is it, sweetheart? Do you want to tell me why you have this interesting postcard on your refrigerator?" My mother suddenly froze when I held up the postcard that was stuck on her refrigerator. The look on her face told me that she had completely forgotten about it. Her eyes went wide and her mouth hung open when she saw me holding the postcard. She wasn't smart enough to school her expression and come up with a sorry excuse. Like I said, she was never the sharpest tool in the shed. She immediately started to stammer and shake and said, how did you find that?" "It was stuck on the refrigerator, Mom." "I see that you haven't left your habit of proudly displaying everything you got from Elise. It's just a postcard. Why are you asking me about it?" "I want to know why it has my husband's signature on it." Don't try to lie your way out because I know something fishy is going on here. It means nothing, Julia. Promise. It doesn't mean anything. One more lie or excuse out of your mouth and I will immediately stop sending you money. You and Elise would have to fend for yourself. I am pretty sure your dear little daughter won't be of any help like the princess she is. Would you like to know how it is to live without money? That one threat did its job. My mother burst into tears and started to beg me not to cut off any financial support. She knew very well that her small disability check wasn't going to do anything for her, and he'd spoiled her daughter. She knew from her past experience that Elise won't get a job or do anything to help her have money. She would simply yell at her and wait for her to bring money so that she could keep her mooching lifestyle. My mother probably didn't want to tell me what she did, but she had to. She didn't want to betray her favorite daughter, but she had to. I don't feel sorry for the dilemma my mother was in. It was, after all, the direct result of her own actions. My mother cried and begged me not to cut her off financially and said, "Please understand my situation, Julia. Your poor, disabled mother will be on the streets if you don't cooperate with me." "I am ready to cooperate with you, Mom. All you have to do is tell me what is going on here. Don't hide anything, because I will find out the whole truth eventually. And then things wouldn't turn out in your favor." Okay, I will tell you everything. But please don't take away your help. I am all ears, Mom. Tell me, is my husband cheating on me with Elise? Yes, kind of. What in the world does kind of mean, Mom? Is my husband having an affair with my sister or not? Tell me right now. I admit that I raised my voice at my mother. I was bursting with a lot of emotions and couldn't really keep calm. I am not a psychopath. I know I may not be able to explain my emotional state to you guys through my writing, but believe me, I was not calm and composed. A million different things were going through my head. I felt like my head was going to burst if my mother didn't confirm my worst fears. I didn't have to push too much because she confessed straight away after I raised my voice at her. My mom absolutely broke down and told me how my sister and my husband were having an illicit relationship behind my back. Now, I can't really recall word for word what my mother said about the affair. I guess I was in way too much shock to remember what my mother was saying. The gist of it was that Elise and Cole had been sleeping around for the last 7 months. It started right after Christmas, so I hadn't been delusional at the party when I saw my sister flirt with my husband. I wasn't being delusional when my husband suddenly started to side with my abusive family and sang praises of my sister. Cole had been gaslighting me to hide his affair. I should have listened to my gut and started an investigation. I was a little late in discovering what was going on, but better late than never, right? So I decided to milk as much information from my mother as possible. She was slightly vulnerable after my threat, so it was easy to make her talk. I said, mind telling me why Elise was suddenly attracted to my husband? I mean, last I remember, she didn't like him at all because Cole wasn't handsome enough by her standards. She changed her mind after she saw how good he takes care of you. Cole got such a better job and started to spoil you. She realized that he was a good husband. So that's why she decided to steal my husband. She thought she would swiftly replace me and get herself a husband who would take care of all her needs. I bet you like that too, Mom. She must have told you all about how she would take care of you after stealing my husband. I didn't want to be a burden on you, Julia. So you what, Mom? So you decided that having my sister steal my husband and then use him to take care of you would be the best solution? My mother had no answer for that. She was crying hysterically and didn't have the guts to look into my eyes. I really wanted her to look at me and tell me how she had supported her favorite daughter in stealing my husband, but she wasn't strong enough to do that. My mother and sister had made the perfect plan to betray me. My husband had joined hands with them. That day, I found out much more about everything. So, Elise had plotted to seduce my husband and marry him so that all his wealth would be at her disposal. No, she didn't love him at all, and even my mother accepted that. I had it all in the recording. She told me all about how she had helped them meet up at her house, how they had family dinners and outings. I also found out that most of the business trips my husband took were fake. Those trips were small vacations that Cole took with Elise. All this while, they had been having the time of their life while I was being played for a fool. They had planned to betray me and leave me for good, but they had no idea how horribly their plan would backfire on them. I left my mother's house as a broken woman, but I put myself back soon enough. And after I did just that, I started to plot the downfall of those 3 people who hurt me the most. Before I had left my mom's house, I had made her promise that she wouldn't tell Elise and Cole anything. Mom had been crying to forgive her and had said, I am so sorry, Laura. I never should have supported Elise. I know that I have been wrong and selfish in my actions. I made a huge mistake. Please forgive me. I don't know about that, Mom. All 3 of you have betrayed me in the worst way possible. We will all make it right, Julia. I promise I will encourage Elise to stop this affair. We can all go back to normal if you give us a chance. What if I don't want to, Mom? You do know that if I divorce Cole, I will be taking a lot of his money, right? What if I just do that? What if I want to cut you and Elise off right now? You will have no one to support you. No, please don't do this. I will do anything. Please just forgive me. Tell me what I can do. I don't know, Mom. How about you keep your mouth shut and not tell anyone about what I found out? I don't want you telling Elise or Cole that I know. I need time to process everything. After they come back, we can all sit down and have a talk. I think that will help us all move past this unfortunate situation. Okay, I will do what you say. I won't tell anyone anything. I promise that, Julia. No one will know about this. You can take time. We can all have a discussion later and move past this as a family. Yeah, I had no intention of doing anything like that. I just fooled my mother into silence so that I had time to arrange my cards correctly. My mother was desperate enough to listen to me, and she was delusional enough to think that we could move past this like it was nothing. Mom also knew that what I said about her finances was true. If I stopped supporting her, she would be destitute. Cole would be busy hoarding money for the divorce, so there was no guarantee he would help her. Depending on Elise would be nothing less than foolish. With the month ending soon, my mother didn't see a better option than listening to me, so that's what she did. I didn't have much time on my hands. I didn't trust my mother to keep her promise to me, but she did. Thankfully, it gave me enough time to lock my accounts, contact an attorney, and collect proof of Cole's cheating. I had Mom's confession on my phone, so that helped. Plus, I logged onto my husband's home laptop to find more proof. There were train tickets and hotel bookings in his and Elise's name. Also, there was a folder with tons of raunchy pictures that made me vomit. But I am glad to fund them because I could use them in divorce. Don't worry, I only gave the most decent ones to my lawyer. I wasn't going to spread out those pictures publicly. I wasn't going to lower myself to that level. I had better plans to expose them. What I did was call Cole's mother and tell her everything about what Cole had done. I also showed her proof and told her the whole story. I admit that I cried a lot to her because she really felt like a mother to me. When my own mother neglected me and abused me, my mother-in-law cared for me like her own daughter. She was distraught hearing about Cole's behavior and told me in no uncertain terms that she would support whatever decision I took. Together, we discussed my plan, and she gave me enough courage to go through with it. Cole had no idea what was going to happen to him, and neither did my sister. On the day Cole was supposed to come back, he had asked me to come pick him up from the airport. I guess they had come up with a plan to separate and have my sister leave before or after I arrived to pick him up. No matter what the plan was, things didn't happen their way. I canceled on Cole after he landed at the airport and told him to get a cab. He seemed a little annoyed, but was also excited to see me. You can only imagine what happened to his excitement when he came home and saw his stuff outside in trash bags. When he rang the doorbell and I opened the door, he looked genuinely confused. He said, What is going on here? Why is my stuff out in trash bags? Yeah, trash belongs in trash bags, doesn't it, Cole? You are welcome to put yourself in a trash bag as well. It will suit you best. What are you talking about, Julie? Are you mad at me for something? Have you done anything to make me mad, Cole? I don't know what I did, Julia. I literally just came back from a business trip. I wasn't even around to make you mad. Business trip, you say, Cole? Mind telling me why my sister was with you on your little business trip? Cole immediately looked a little flustered and avoided looking directly at me. I know he hadn't expected me to pop this question out of the blue. He was under the impression that all was well, since I had talked to him fairly nicely throughout the trip and even when I canceled on him at the last minute. Now, I didn't look all that impressed and was asking him a really unsavory question. He wasn't prepared with an answer, so he simply stammered and said, What? What are you talking about, Julia? What has gotten into your head? Why would your sister come with me on a business trip? I think she has good reasons to accompany you, Cole. You are not making any sense, Julia. Elsie and I don't even work at the same company. Actually, she doesn't work, so why would she be with me at a work event? Probably because you two have been having an affair behind my back? What? No, why would you say that, Julia? You seriously need to cool down with all this jealousy against your sister. I have been telling you that you have been judging her too harshly. I see that now, Cole. I know why you have been defending my sister and my mother so much since the past few months. I guess I never really thought that the reason you flipped a switch was because you were sleeping with her. Now you are accusing me of doing terrible things too, for no reason. You know that we would never do that to you. I am sorry to say that you are being delusional. This has made me really angry. I had given Cole plenty of chances to come clean. He had been caught, yet he was trying to gaslight me into thinking that I was being delusional. I also didn't miss how he was defending Elise along with himself. I don't know how deep in the affair fog he was, but boy, he was being a dumb man. And I was about to show him how dumb he was being. I angrily said, "Am I really being delusional, Cole?" "Yes, you are being delusional. This is just horrible. You shouldn't be treating me and your sister this way when we have done nothing wrong." "So that's the story you are going for? Okay, then will you mind explaining what this means?" I simply played my recorded conversation with my mother where she had confessed to everything. I played the whole recording of my mom sobbing and begging for forgiveness. He also heard about how my sister never liked him and was only using him for money. The first part he already knew. I guess my sister had fooled him into thinking that she finally understood his real worth. Well, more like my sister finally understood how deep his pockets were. She had told my mother that, and my mother had told me everything out of fear. Speaking of fear, I wish you guys could have seen the look on my husband's face. It was just priceless. Cole went as pale as a sheet as he heard the entire recording. He was shaking a little and dropped his suitcase as he ran to me. He tried to hold me as his eyes started to tear up. I thought that he was finally about to tell me everything. Well, no, this man was all set to gaslight me even more. He actually had the gall to look into my eyes and said, "Listen to me, Julia. None of this is true. Your mother's lying to you. I don't know why she said those things. None of this is true." "Really, Cole? Are you still going to keep lying to me after being caught red hand?" "I am not lying to you, Julia. You have to believe me." "Okay, then, Cole. Let's do this the hard way. I don't have enough time to waste on you while you try to deny what you did. I found all your tickets and hotel reservations, plus those awfully steamy pictures that the two of you took together. Want to have a look, Cole?" "Here it is." I showed Cole the pictures on my phone. That was when my husband realized that his lies had come undone. He had no way to hide or deny his sordid affair anymore. He had no more excuses and couldn't do anything to say that the affair didn't happen. So, he turned on the waterworks and started to cry like a baby. It was as pathetic as you can imagine. He was trying to hold me while he cried. I simply sidestepped him and told him not to touch me with his filthy hands, which had probably touched my equally filthy sister not even a few minutes ago. My husband apparently hadn't expected me to find out at all. Or maybe he had thought that he would be able to gaslight me into forgiving him or making it seem like he wasn't at fault. He cried and said, "I am so sorry, Julia. I swear I didn't want to do this. Your sister started to flirt with me a lot. She's the one to blame. She seduced me for money. Oh, so we are going to exclusively blame my sister now. Let's just forget about how you went along with her plans and slept with her. You made the decision to fall for her charms and sleep with her. Cole, you are just as bad as her." "I know that I made a huge mistake, Julia. You are right. She made me feel wanted and told me how she would be the luckiest woman to have me. I admit I fell for her words. I should have known that she was just trying to get my money. Too bad you found out now. Maybe I should have left you quietly and let you marry Elise, thinking that she was in love with you. I would have loved to see you drown in your misery when she bankrupted you. Too bad I couldn't hold it in. I would have never married her, Julia. I love you. I have always been in love with you. Elise was just an ego boost for me because she changed her mind after hating me for so long. I was being stupid and immature. I swear I can change." Yeah, you can go do that alone. I won't be sticking around to see that, Cole. "We are done. I have already filed for divorce and submitted all the proof to my lawyer, so get your stuff and leave." Cole was still crying and looked shocked when I mentioned divorce. He begged and pleaded for a chance and wasn't willing to go away in peace. He was simply wasting my time and souring my mood because looking at him made me want to vomit. So I simply kept asking him to leave before I called the cops. That's when he suddenly sobered up and said, "You can't call the cops on me. This house belongs to my mother. If you don't want to be with me anymore, you should be the one to leave." About that, Cole, I already told your mother everything. She is allowing me to stay here while you go fend for yourself. What? No, my mother wouldn't do that. I am her son. I should be the one staying here. Well, she did do this, Cole. If you have a problem with it, why don't you take it up to her? She has been expecting your call. Something about how she is rethinking her will and your inheritance after knowing about your sordid actions. Cole was immediately frightened because he knew his mother was a woman of her word. He also knew well enough that his mother wouldn't be supportive of his stupid decisions. So he knew that what I had said may be true. That's why he went back to begging and pleading with me, because he thought his mother would forgive him if I did. You can just say that I kicked him to the curb and called the cops for real to get him off the property. Before I tell you what happened between Cole and me, I should tell you about another visit I got from my mother and sister. Yep, they showed up at my house just 2 days after I kicked Cole out. Why did they show up like that? Well, because I had sent them a message informing them that I was going to cut off all my financial help and was going no contact with them. So the duo came to my house screaming at me. My mother said, "You can't do this to us, Julia. You promised that you would have cut off your financial help." Oh, sorry about that, Mom. I changed my mind. So no help for either of you now. You can't be so selfish, Julia. Just because your husband chose me over you, you can't make us suffer. That solves the problem, doesn't it, Elise? Why don't you go ask Cole for help? Since he chose you already. This is when Elise started to stammer. I knew that Cole had cut her off and told her to stay away from him. Apparently, he had also laid on to her about how she was nothing but a home-wrecking gold digger. Cole told me everything to show me how dedicated he was to making things work again. Like I said before, an absolutely pathetic attempt to get me back. As if it would make me forget everything. However, it did give me joy to know that Mom and Elise would be back to square one now. And they had realized that too, so they came to scream at me. When I clapped back at Elise for her remarks, my sister was embarrassed. In a small tone, she said, "Okay, fine. Cole left me and told me not to contact him again. There, you have your husband back, Julia. We can all go back to how things were like before. We can just forget everything. Elise will even apologize to you for her actions." What? Okay, fine. I am sorry, Julia. Are you happy now? Stop this drama and send us money. We have the rent due in 2 days. Well, you two are not getting anything from me, be it money or forgiveness. So it looks like you two will have to come up with a different way to pay it, guys. With that, I shut the door on their faces. They tried to reach out to me multiple times, but I ignored them. I had them blocked everywhere and made sure they couldn't reach me again. They tried hard, but eventually they had to let go of me. Cole and I got a divorce as predicted. He had to pay me a huge alimony and a good chunk of his savings. His mother had actually refused to talk to him and gave me 50% of his inheritance. Yeah, I love that woman. Cole had been taught a big lesson by her. Cole's siblings also shunned him because they looked down on cheaters. So he has very low contact with his own family now. His friends pretty much abandoned him after I revealed his horrible deeds to everyone. I got a lot of support from them too, so I must say that I walked away from the divorce with a lot of rewards.